Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori. And actually, hold on, because I just found out I can't record from here. So bear with me. Otherwise, no one else but people listening live will get to hear this. So, I wish we had some elevator music or something of the sort.
Well, I'll just talk a little bit while you're figuring that out, which is what did we talk about today? Well, today we're talking about a little bit of news, but I think last episode we mentioned shoes. So this episode we're going to talk shoes for people.
Yes, we will be talking shoes. And I don't want to talk too much about shoes until we're actually recording. I knew something was going to go wrong. And here we go again. Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And now I can't find my video. Here we go. We are bringing you the running news from the week, whether it is to entertain you on your long run or give you something to talk about with your running group or just to laugh at two adults who don't know how to use technology. We've got you covered. So if you were already here, which I'm sure no one is here yet, because I don't think we told anybody we're going to be live, we are going to be talking about running shoes instead of running news today. But the only running news I had, well, also, did you ever settle on if you were going to do training? Are you going to take 6 weeks off? Did you ever settle on that?
Well, I've now taken 4 weeks off, so I think the answer is yes, I'm taking some time off.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel though?
It's funny. You feel great for the first few weeks, but now I'm starting to feel like, okay, I picked the cat up yesterday and my back started hurting. I'm like, oh man. So can I do no core work? I'm not doing anything. So I do feel like I'm just crossing that line from feeling good and recovered to now feeling lethargic and, atrophy and everything else is setting in.
Yeah. Okay. Yikes. I get that though. When I first took that long break over the summer with my heart stuff, I was like, wow, I have no inflammation in my legs. I have no shin pain, no knee pain. My back's feeling better. But then I'm like, and now I feel ancient. It's not helping. Okay. So the only running news I had, and I'm sure you already saw this, but, Courtney Dauwalter, have you seen she finished the marathon we talked about last week?
I didn't see it. I didn't do any research for news this week, but so didn't see it.
Right. She ran a 2:38:55 at the California International Marathon, which is an awesome time, obviously. So it was apparently 11 minutes as an 11-minute PR. So that's crazy too. And she only ran, what was that, 2 months ago?
Yeah. So that's more than respectable time. That is an impressive time. That's competitive with, elite athletes. I don't certainly not world record pace, but it's not pedestrian. It is.
No. Yeah.
It is in the lower elite category.
So I saw someone post something kind of funny about seeing pictures from her at the marathon, saying all of them looked AI generated just because she's so just still is Courtney at the race, right? Wearing the same thing she always wears, smiling, waving, but she's running with an elite group who's all very focused, very serious, all dressed the same. And so I saw some pictures oh, that is actually really funny because Ultra World just does stand out a little bit.
So she had basketball shorts on. Is that what she's wearing?
Right. I think she might have had her vest, her hydration vest. I don't know. So all of that's it's kind of funny. But yeah, no, good for her. Exciting to see her.
You know what the place was?
No.
Okay.
That was so real research.
Very respectable. I'll look it up. If I get a break during this process, I'll look it up while we talk.
Yeah. So we are going to talk shoes. We're not going to do the standard shoe chat, I think, because I'm sure we have one, if not two, running shoe episodes or running shoe questions or something, whether it was on this podcast or another podcast. So we are not going to just talk what shoes are best, the philosophies on shoes, because I know then I'll go into a born to run, barefoot, blah, 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 in my soapbox, on my soapbox, whatever it is. So I was going to just give, I guess this is kind of generic, timeline of the last 100 years of shoe innovations, because I do think we often are talking about the shoe innovations here and what people are wearing and just the different. I think not that long ago, we reported that I saw a study that someone was like suing the super shoes for giving them a stress fracture. So just giving a little bit of an overview of that. But before I get there, because I am now unable to find where I wrote down my things, as someone who has been a runner for 50 plus years, we're talking about you, not me. You want to talk a little bit about your personal experience in shoe changes? Because I know you were not running in anything fancy when you were a kid.
Yeah, no, I was not running anything fancy. We had a cinder track at my high school when I was first there. No one's even heard of a cinder track. I'm sure at this point in time, it was a thrill to run on, like the rubberized tracks. So yeah, no, technology everywhere has changed. The shoes, the tracks, they've all gotten better. Shoes, they've really taken a leap in the last like 10 years, right? With the carbon fiber plates, probably about 10 years ago. And that seems to really been a game changer. Before then, it was really, Nike came out with the first running shoe, right? On to the timeline, but the cushioning was like the big thing. It was just you went from sort of no cushion, any shoes you had, to like a specific running shoe. And then from just my research today, I mean, there are hundreds of variations within every category now. So
Yeah,
I'll let you go into maybe a little bit of history, then we can talk about some nuance.
for sure. So obviously, the last 100 years would start in the 1920s. And I wasn't really even sure what I was going to find because I remember pretty much my entire life running shoes have been like, they're not what they are today, but like there have been running shoe brands. If you go running, you wear running shoes. So I remember watching Grease forever ago and being like, oh my gosh, they're wearing like Converse Chucks or whatever as like the guy's doing hurdles. Then he like falls on the hurdle. Like I can't even imagine. That seems terrible. So yeah, 1920s was like canvas and leather shoes. So minimal cushioning, thin rubber soles, which interestingly enough is where we've kind of now circled back to for certain people. And Adolf Dassler, who was the future founder of Adidas, does begin making handcrafted track spikes. And then in 1936 is when we see Jesse Owens' Olympic spikes that were built by Dassler, which is then bringing more attention to a performance footwear. And then the 1940s, 1950s is when rubber and structure kind of come around. That's when you're going to get those rubber soles. Shoes are going to be more structured, but still very flat. The 50s is when you get the advent of nylon uppers for lighter weight. They begin to separate left and right shoe shapes for better anatomical fit. That is insane to me though, because like how often, especially now as like a parent who's always trying to help a young person put shoes on, it's like, oh, those are the wrong feet. And he'll be like, oh, I don't care. And I'm like, but you do care because they're like really wrong. The fact that, 1950s before that, we were just like wearing a cylinder shaped shoe.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Shoes weren't shaped to your feet before then, for at least running shoes. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, because I mean, like it is so distinct now. Even like shoes that have like very little shape, like I wear slippers a lot, and it's like they're barely shaped left and right, but it's like you can tell when it's the wrong one, you know? So in the 1960s is also when the jogging boom begins. Onitsuka Tiger, later Asics, inventor, I guess, introduces the early cushioned racing shoe. Leather is still a common material, but they are having more synthetic materials around that time. 1964, Blue Ribbon Sports, which later turns into Nike, starts importing and modifying running shoes. And then 1968, the first attempt at foam midsole cushioning. It says EVA-like materials. I don't even know what that means. So when you were like not that you were a baby, so like who really cared, but like Nike wasn't even like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you said 1968 was they started doing this. It was, the Olympics were going on, so there was a lot of custom shoes, I'm sure, being made for people, like for the athletes. But yeah, for general population, no one had like Nike shoes. It didn't exist.
That's so
Blue
crazy.
ribbon shoes.
Yeah, that's not a very Nike's way better. The 1970 is the birth of modern running shoes. 1971 to 1973, Nike develops the waffle outsole, which is improving the traction and the cushioning. It's the rise of the EVA foam, which means drastically lighter and softer than all the prior materials. 1975 is when New Balance 320 becomes the first major EVA running shoe. I should have done more research on whatever EVA running shoes, running material is. And then the late 70s was the pioneering of stability shoes created to address overpronation. So it seems like the 70s, which is what it says, right? The modern running shoe. But this is where we're now seeing all those different things where not only 20 years ago, we didn't even have shoe shapes. Now we have like things for overpronation and probably like those insole type things all being created. So it kind of went super fast in that realm. The 80s was cushioning and features. So 1980, Brooks introduced the Varus wedge and early stability technology. In 82, Nike releases the Air Tailwind, one of the first mass marketed air cushion shoes. And in 1986, ASIC unveils gel cushioning, major shock absorption breakthrough.
I was in no, I was actually out of college in '86. So,
do you remember what you used to run in?
Yeah, we had. I don't recall there being a lot of cushion to it, but they certainly had like running spikes with rubberized soles on them. And they seemed nice at the time. They're very comparable with what exists today, except for I'm sure a lot lighter and a lot more cushion for like I was a sprinter, so
Yeah.
cushioning wasn't what I was into.
Yeah, I remember being like a kid, and mom used to take out like all the boxes of like old things, and I know there was like spikes in there, and yeah, from my memory, they did not look much different at all, and I think it still had like the same kind of like tool key that takes the spikes out and stuff. So it's kind of weird that. I mean, I guess like they started with a good design, they don't really need to change it all that much.
By the way, EVA stands for ethylene vinyl acetate. It's just a form of rubber.
So EVA works great.
EVA is what we'll use from this point forward.
I'll keep it that way. And then the 1990s is when I come on the scene. Biomechanics and motion control. So the rise of motion control, dual density, midsole, structured arch support. Brands begin using laboratory gait analysis and engineering to engineer shoes. Wow. 1994, Adidas releases torsion systems for midfoot stability. And the late 1990s, strong focus on durability, stability, and injury reduction. Okay, so I feel like this is just like scam.
Yeah, it sounds like marketing, sell. Yep.
What are your thoughts on gait analysis? Have you ever had it done, and what do you think?
I have. One of the recommendations I think you and I would probably both give anyone listening to an episode on running shoes would be go to a running store.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a gait analysis, and I have done it several times. And, in what they do look at is, where your foot's striking the ground. Is it outer, inner, heel, toe? And then whether you're rotating in as you should be or over rotating in for overpronation. So I did actually like it. I mean, it doesn't feel like a scam. Now, maybe I'm just buying into it. At the end of the day, 90 some percent of the people are always these neutral shoes, unless you're an overpronator that you need some stability shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know what you are, but I was just more of a natural shoe is what my category was, which I think from what I've seen is what most people are.
Yeah. So I've only ever done it once, and it was down in Florida years and years ago. And I remember the lady said, "You have the perfect running gait." And I was like, "But obviously, right? Of course I do." And so it's just, that to me again feels like, okay, good one, lady.
Yeah. And would you like to buy these shoes? These shoes will make your perfect running gait perfect.
Yeah, even more. No, it was literally like, because you have the perfect running gait, you can wear any shoe you want. So pick the most expensive one. No, I don't remember exactly even what shoe at that time. I was probably wearing Brooks maybe. But yeah, so I've only ever had it done once. My thing though is like so much about the way, so much, if not like all, and I'm sure like a physiologist could give way better insight all those things are going to be affected by your running form, which is affected by strength and the way that you're moving and things that can be adjusted. So like, I think it's one of those really hard, like chicken or the egg type things, right? Of like, you don't want to tell people like, you need to get stronger or have better form before you even worry about the running shoe. But it's kind of just like, I don't want you to get so focused in. I think people get so like dialed into like, this is my running shoe. I need to buy this insert because I always am going to have this overpronation issue. And it's like, you may not always have this issue. And as your feet are getting stronger, you do feet strengthening, your arch is going to get higher. You may even change shoe sizes. Like there's just so much. And so I think sometimes that's not always like what's like, obviously if they're just trying to sell you running shoes, they're not going to be like, let me also tell you, because no one really wants to hear that either. Like work on your strength, work on your form. It's going to change, blah, blah, blah. That's just kind of, I guess.
I agree with you. I think, I think there's probably a small percentage that their running form is such that without the right shoe, they might cause themselves an injury.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, I would say, if you have a good running shoe, there's a pretty wide variety of shoes that you could wear, and over time you'll become a better runner. You'll become stronger. Some of those things that you maybe have a little bit of pronation will even out, or overpronation will even out. So, I agree. There's probably some element to it that's feels like hocus pocus, but especially when they're in the running store, they do talk a lot about pronation and gait and all that great stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, again, I said I wasn't going to go on like a born to run thing, but here I go. But that was one of the big things I think that especially the beginning portion of the first book talked about was like, because we have all these innovations in running shoes, you're able to continue running to some extent without fixing these other problems. So then you are going to create some kind of imbalance, or you're going to just keep pushing on with whatever you're having a problem with, and it's going to keep just breaking down your body. So that's just me stopping myself from going on a whole thing about that.
Yeah, we won't get you started. Continue on, because it's about shoes, not about no shoes.
Right. And then the 2000s is when we're really looking at the lighter weights, different foams. So here are more abbreviations that I will not know what they are, but the introduction of TPU and advanced EVA blends, shoes become lighter while keeping their cushion. 2004, Nike's free, not free as in not costing money, but free as in, I guess like the verb, I don't know. Free line starts the minimalist barefoot movement. Interesting that Nike had these at one point. In 2009, Vibram 5-finger shoes, and I know you're a fan of those, exploded in popularity, promoting natural running. So there was a very short period of time that these brands were really into the minimalist stuff, and then they just let it go. I had a Nike Freeze at one point, and I loved them. And I think I had one, maybe two pairs, and I used to wear them running and to the gym. And then this is when I first realized that like shoe business was a scam. Here I go again, because all of a sudden they like just completely discontinued. You couldn't find these shoes anywhere.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I'm on the cusp of not buying into Born to Run.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like it's like a great concept that was all backed by what seemed like science, but a lot of people run with shoes. Do they prevent more injuries than they cause? Right. I agree. Right. If you're able to get your foot stronger and do it naturally and do all those things, that sounds great. But that may be a very small percentage of people that can do that, versus the people who without the shoes is going to come up with other injuries. So even those minimalist shoes, I mean, you are giving something away, whether it be the pounding that the pavement causes, because that has to get absorbed somewhere in the body, and the shoes can take a lot of it, but then it goes to your ankles, your knees, your hips, and if you don't have that cushioning, do you end up with an injury 6 months from now? So it is so hard to tell. I do feel like, if you look at 25,000 people that run XYZ marathon, 99.99% of them are wearing, one of the major brands of shoes.
For sure. You're not wrong. I was just about to go on a whole thing about grounding as like the resident woo-woo person over here, I guess. Like, no, but it reduces anxiety and makes you feel more connected to the world, that you'll be able to feel the ground. Anyway, I'll stop.
Yeah, the biohacker in our
Yeah,
midst.
right.
Yeah.
Call me Ben Greenfield or someone
Yep.
else. All right, 2010. Here we are, the maximalism and super shoe revolution. 2010, Hoka 1-1 launches the maximalist shoe, huge cushioning but surprisingly light. 2013, Adidas releases Boost Foam, a soft and bouncy TPU pellet midsole. 2016 to 2017, Nike unveils the Vaporfly prototype with, wow, it's just explaining what's inside of that. And we all know it's the carbon fiber and a bunch of other stuff. And I'm not going to even try to say these words about what's in them. 2020, carbon plates become the standard, which we talk about, or we've talked about constantly. So 2020, 2022, every major brand releases their own super shoes: Saucony Endorphin Pro, Asics Metaspeed, Adidas Adios Pro, New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite. One they notably forgot is the Ultra version, and I don't remember even what that one's called, but I have that one, and I wore that for our marathon, and I loved it. 2023, stack height rules evolve, allowing thicker midsoles for amateurs. The explosion of plate-embedded training shoes, not just for racing, which we've talked about, I feel like, not that long ago. And even actually when you were talking about if you did or did not want Alpha Flies or Vapor Flies or whatever you were trying to get, that people are using them in training, and that is very true. 2024 to 2025, multi-plate energy return, tuned designs, high-res foam molding for personalized cushioning, growing use of biodegradable and recycled foams. And wasn't it one of the things for the Breaking 4? Was it that like her shoe was, or was that just a different thing Nike did? They made like some like custom printed molded shoe. Maybe that was for something else.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do thought I did think she had a special shoe, but I don't know what it was about though.
You don't remember the shoe? Okay, well, that is the history of running shoes. So where we've landed is you now believe we should have the most maximal of shoes, and I do not.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess for so if you think about shoes, right? I watched a few things today, and some of the things that helped me was understanding like stack height and drop. I don't know whether you have that on your list to get into. Like when you think about what you want in a shoe, right? And I said probably if you look at any of the 5 major brands, 10 major brands, you can probably get a good running shoe. Well, before I get into the different components of the shoe, let's go back and talk about, do people need carbon fiber plated shoes, like the quote super shoes for everyday training? I'm going to say 99% people do not. And they probably, right now, they don't. I mean, people use them for races, people use them for marathons. But I think for everyday training, you should have an everyday training shoe. And there are, daily trainers. That's what they're referred to on a number of sites. And in fact, I'm going to put a plug in right now for one of the websites I looked at today, runrepeat.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a great site where you can go in and sort of, they probably have 20 categories of things where you may want to put in like, oh, okay, I want a neutral shoe. I'm going to do road versus trail. I'm going to do my everyday, this is a daily training shoe. You put all these questions in and it'll tell you, here's 5 shoes. And these aren't going to be the 5 most expensive shoes. In fact, I bought one today. I bought the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel version 5, V5.
Yeah. Did you
Like
wear them?
$145. So again, and there were cheaper options on there. That's the one I picked. I think I said last week I was going to get a different training shoe. And it's a little bit different than the one I have now. Right now I'm using Asics. So I'm going to just balance it out with a New Balance.
Wow. Have you worn New Balance to run?
I have not. I just ordered them today. So have I ever worn New Balance? No. So I'm making one of those cardinal mistakes, which is ordering on the internet a shoe based on my size, based on what a website says. But
Wow.
I've also run a lot, and I also recognize that many of these shoes are all very similar. And based on the stack height I was trying to get, both stack height being how high is the heel of the shoe. I looked at what my current one is, and it's very comparable. You hear the word drop a lot, which is how much is the heel versus the toe in height. So if the heel is 40 millimeters, and the toes 32, it's a sort of a 8 millimeter drop. So I got something that's very similar. It's a little less of a drop than my current ones. I think my current ones are 8. These are 5s.
Oh,
So,
okay. That's not
yeah.
bad.
So I think the idea is to get sort of work your way down. I think it's easier to run with a larger stack height from a standpoint of it's as a new runner, it's less stressful on your Achilles, your calves, your lower legs. Um, there's always a cost to that, but that's higher stack height gives you a little bit more flexibility. But as you get in tune and you sort of in shape, you may want to go to a lower stack height is my recommendation. Anyway, I kind of threw a bunch of things out there, but that was sort of like your daily training. You don't need carbon fiber plated shoes. I mean, those are the most expensive shoes. Those are the ones you can afford them. People get them for like their big marathon, half marathon. May use them on their long speed runs because I think the carbon fiber plates, for the most part, I would suggest you're going to get the benefits of it in your speed day, not necessarily on your sort of easy day. So
Yeah, and I think again it goes back to like what is the goal? Because again, obviously like these professional athletes are using them to win and set world records. But if you have no goal of like a certain time or I guess to some extent like a certain distance, like it really doesn't because not that it's a cheat, but it is like making it easier, right? And if it's like if your goal is just to be like fit and in shape and you want to be able to run forever, like there is nothing that they are going to do for you that's going to change that. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm just it's making me a better runner. It's making me have less injuries. Like it's none of those things. So I think it really does come down to like, what is the goal? And if you have these pace goals, then sure. Or if you have like, if I don't wear them, I won't be able to run 30 miles because I just won't have the energy, whatever. Like that's kind of pushing it. But yeah, I think that's kind of where it is on those.
yeah, because new runners, right? I mean, for most of us, and we're probably not 99% category. We're recreational runners. We're not elite athletes. You need your daily trainer. You're going to get 99% of your benefits by going out and running. That's where all your running benefits are going to come from. And the shoe itself, whether it's the Asics or the New Balance or the Saucony, probably for the most part is going to make a very minimal difference. So that's why everyone recommends, and if you listen to any shoe commercial type stuff, you'll say, listen, go to a running store. Like there's a lot of running stores in local communities, and they're there for a reason. And people that are in there are very knowledgeable about the types of shoes. They're not trying to sell you necessarily the highest and most expensive shoe there. So don't necessarily go in there with the idea I need to buy something today. Just go in there and maybe talk to them, find out what their suggestions are. If you get to do a gait analysis, as you said, a lot of the stores do have basically a machine treadmill where you can run on it and they'll basically videotape what your foot strike looks like. And so you get some information, but to be honest, 99% of the shoes that are in there will help you. They're probably good for you. Then it comes down to feel. How do they feel when you try them on, right? Are they comfortable? Because that goes a long way with running. If it's not comfortable when you're in the store, probably not gonna be comfortable 5 miles, running. So try to get something that fits well, is comfortable. They do have cushion insoles, not just the cushioning on the shoe itself, but you can then buy inserts that are cushioning. A lot of stuff you don't need. I mean, when you just first start running and you want to get in shape, just get the basic shoes. Get going to this website here that I mentioned, runrepeat.com. Just put in daily trainer. There's ones for $80 that were in there. You can get $80 shoes that they were recommending, and they're relatively independent, right? They still get paid by somebody, but they're recommending all different shoe brands. They're not tied to any one shoe. So I think that's just a good way to go about, getting a shoe that's probably good. If you can't get to your local running store, you know, try a website and do that.
Agreed. Do you work for runrepeat.com now?
I did mention them a few times on this episode, and they're not sponsoring us either. So yeah, I just found their site to be, very helpful. I didn't, you don't have to answer all 20 of the different, categories.
Yeah.
You can answer one. Like, I want a daily trainer. It'll tell you, here are the, do you want highest rated? Do you want, by price? And they'll just list them out for you.
Yeah.
And also give you links to, whether it be to like one was to an REI website, one was to an Amazon website. So it's not even like linking it necessarily to a brand. Some of them did go to a brand website, but then that may not be the cheapest way to get it. So if it's via Amazon, they would recommend Amazon, and they would have the link right there, which would take you to the shoe, and you could just go out and get it. But again, number one step is talk to your local running store if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Two, put the shoes on and go running. Don't just buy the shoes. That's not going to help you. You need to actually run in them on a daily, semi-daily basis.
Agreed.
And your running technique will get a little bit better over time, and you'll start to feel like, okay, I'm ready for a different shoe, or my body's hurting. Maybe I'm ready for a new version after 300 or 400 miles on shoes, which can go pretty quickly depending on what your weekly mileage is.
Mm-hmm.
Then they do recommend that every 3 to 4 to 500 miles you need to change your shoe, because the cushioning just gets a little bit worn out and it doesn't give as much protection to your body. But yeah, you'll work your way up through it. So,
And if
you
you're
have a
like
brand,
me, they're better that way once they're worn out.
Yeah, I know, you're born to run. Now, do you have a brand that you like?
Yeah. I think I've said it a couple times. I pretty much only wear ultras now for running. The other day though, it wasn't for like a run, but I did a little bit of running in like a gym workout. And I was just wearing like these $20 barefoot shoes I got from Amazon. And I just was wearing them for like lifting or whatever. And so just for my run parts, I was like, oh, these feel like really nice to run in. I wouldn't run in them all the time, but yeah, I like the wide toe box. I like the flatter feel. I like the movement. So I've had a couple different versions of them, but they're a favorite. I think there's a chance I might try some Zero shoes as well, but they're all like kind of the same thing.
Now, Zero shoes, those are like zero drop, or zero as in cushioning zero?
I believe it's probably both.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's hardcore. That's not recommended by any shoe company for the most part, unless they just make those. They can be like we said earlier. It's a little bit of, how does it feel? Your body will tell you if you're running in a minimalist shoe and your body hurts, and it may be that you need to change shoes. You need a little bit more cushion until your body's ready to accept that and go down over time. My brand of choice has always been Saucony. I've wore them for a long time. I actually just got these Asics 6 months ago. So my last 6 months of training have been in those. And now I'm going to try New Balance. So, I'm not brand loyal, but, if you find a brand you like or a shoe you like, I like to stick with it. I don't like changing necessarily, but, now that I have changed from the one version of the Saucony I had, I couldn't find it anymore. So I just had to change. But I found that, like, okay, you know what? After a few runs, it all feels the same to me. Now, again, maybe I'm not as nuanced as a lot of people.
No, I think you're probably onto something. Are you ready to move on to the rest of the episode, which is like way less researched?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so I had big visions of, I'm going to talk about the biggest shoe endorsements in running history, and the internet was like, what do you mean? Like, they don't exist. No one gets paid to be a runner. So I came up with not a lot. But again, I also asked my good friend Chat, who's like awful at doing research. So this is the journalism we're working with. So the two kind of three that I came up with was Galen Rupp, which I was surprised at first. And I was like, I guess like there was a time where he was like the guy. But it was according to leaked agent estimate data gathered by a long running community site. Rupp's contract was estimated at around $758,333 a year. And I don't even know what shoe brand that was. I guess it had to be Nike because he ran for the Nike project.
He did, yeah. I have to believe it's Nike.
Yeah. So there's that. You know what I should have done is I should have looked up. It's hard to compare it to other sports, so I should have looked up like what other shoe deals in other sports are, because I'm sure it would be drastically different for any runner. Noah Lyles, they don't have the number, but he was the second one that came up when talking about historically the highest paid people for running shoes specifically. And it says he signed what was described as the richest contract in track and field since the retirement of Usain Bolt. So the dollar amount's not there, but it was considered to be a very big thing. And I guess that, again, makes sense. I know he's also talked a lot about, like, he wants his own shoe, and he's always going on about not just a spike, he wants a trainer, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So
Yeah,
that
that's
I
the problem with like these running shoe contracts. Like a lot of the other sports, you can get the information on like who's the highest paid football player, basketball player, and contract information seems like it's much more widely available in other sports. Where track and field, it's like no one seems to know what all these different athletes' shoe deals are.
Yeah, I just assumed it was that I like had never looked into it, but I'm like, you hear, and I hear things, and I literally don't follow sports in any fashion of like, oh, someone just signed this $4.4 billion whatever to be on this team, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, so like that is a thing people talk about, but I guess not with running. The only other thing I found was Kara Goucher back in the day had a shoe deal. In the tens of thousands annually. So she also, if anybody doesn't know, like ran around the same time that Galen Rupp, like they were on the same team during the Nike project. So again, it doesn't say this was the same year or same couple of years, but if he was making $758,000 and she was making tens of thousands of dollars annually, that is a kind of crazy. But I know part of the contract was a lot of her issues. So there's that.
Yeah, I don't think in the time she'd been injured a lot coming out of college, so she didn't get the best deal with Nike.
Yeah,
I
I think she
was
just got there because of Adam Goucher, right?
yeah, she was sort of a package deal with Adam. And no disrespect to her, because I think she did blossom after that to some degree. So including Olympic trials, and she may have been an Olympic medalist if I'm not mistaken. I know she ran the finals in the Olympics for 5 and 10,000. So anyway, so very respectable athlete. I think she's talked about in her book the dispute with Nike, and a lot of it was contract related. Like they were not going to pay portions of the contract because of injuries and that kind of stuff, and maybe even pregnancy, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah,
a lot of issues, and it did feel like from reading her book and others that men and women aren't necessarily compensated the same, and they don't take necessarily into account like reproduction, and therefore if you do go out for labor, sorry, we're not going to pay you because you're not running.
Yeah. So that was a flop of an idea I had. My next idea was also a flop. I was going to talk about the runners who've built a shoe brand on their backs, because who knows running shoes better than professional runners? Nobody. And I was like, oh, I'll go through all the ones. And I wasn't thinking of ones that like professional runners are a part of or like endorse, blah, 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 like none of that stuff. But I was like, there has to be more than one. Oh no, the internet could only find one. And I hope there's people who eventually listen to this episode and are like, you dummy, there's 12. Please prove me wrong, because we know I'm not a researcher here. But the only one I found or could find, do you want to guess, or do you know who?
I mean, either Kipchoge or Usain Bolt. I mean, I can't imagine who else would come up with a shoe brand.
The one and only Allison Felix.
Ah, okay.
She created a shoe brand. I believe it was with her brother. Yep, I have that here in 2021. It was after she split with her former sponsor. She co-founded, I believe it's called Saysh, with her brother, Saysh. It began as a lifestyle shoe company, but expanded into performance and running shoes. The Felix Runner sneaker launched in 2023. The aim was to create shoes by women for women, focusing on fit, design, inclusion, motivated by her experience as a female runner, a mother in sports, blah, blah, blah. Not to be like disrespectful, not blah, 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 but like all those things, you know. So, yeah, I always thought this was really great. I mean, she's just incredible all the time, and she does so many different things too. So to have a shoe brand is amazing. Unfortunately, I will say some negative feedback. I have a runner friend who who we've run races together with. She will remain nameless because maybe she doesn't want me to tell that she had complaints. But she, like me, thought Allison Felix is amazing, and of course, like has seen all the things about the shoes. So she was like, I have to buy a pair of the running shoes. And so we talked back and forth about it. She wore them. I believe it was only like a handful of times. I don't believe she's running them much after, if not returned them, because she said they did not feel very good. They were heavy. I believe it was a little clunky. So very disappointing.
It's a small sample size.
For sure.
Very small sample size. So we'll give Allison Felix the benefit of the doubt. I have never seen anyone wearing, you said Seish?
I believe that's what it's. Yeah, I didn't even know what the brand name was called because I've seen her shoes a bunch of times, but I had no idea what the
how to pronounce it.
Called.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of other like brands that have like college athletes, competitive runners, people who are lifelong runners who have made shoes, but we don't need to talk about them because we are like at time and we still have 2 other things to do. Because also, surprise, if you didn't know, which you wouldn't know, this is our last episode for the year. So we're going to make it extra long. So this is a guessing game, and it's going to be hard because I don't even have multiple choice. So it's going to be guess out of thin air, but it is who said this quote about shoes? And it's going to be, I believe it's all professional runners. So it's not like that obscure, but
they're all names I would recognize. Okay, no, just you know what? Fire
almost away. All. There's one I don't recognize.
Okay, let's fire away. We'll give it a shot.
Okay, so when I began testing the Alpha Fly with Nike in 2018, I believed this shoe would revolutionize marathon racing.
Kipchoge.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, I'm 1 for 1.
1 for 1. That might have been the easiest one, though. Okay. I'm skipping another one because this was another Kipchoge quote, and that's the only. Yeah, there might be other repeats. Whoops. Oh, well. Maybe I'll cycle back. I probably would have run way faster if I'd continued, and if I knew that spikes would have got to that level, because it would have been great to compete at that level and running that fast. About modern super spikes.
Alberto Salazar.
No. No. Usain Bolt said that about
really? Okay. Oh, he's talking track. Yeah, it's spikes. I should have. You said the word spikes in that sentence. Yeah, I should have known.
I said it at the way end, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, it's the shoe I live for. Whether I'm running to a meeting, chasing after my kids, or just getting things done, it's the shoe.
Kara Goucher.
Close. Allison Felix.
Ah.
Talking about her Seish shoes.
It's about the shoes.
It's about the shoes. I think the shoe will be part of my legacy.
The shoe, the legacy. Bill Bowerman from Nike.
Ooh, close. That was Kipchoge again about Nike's racing shoes. It was close. Skechers' new performance shoes change the way I run for the better. My shoes are my most essential piece of equipment, and right now Skechers has the footwear I need to succeed.
Tony Romo because I know he does Skechers commercials.
Does he? No, it's Meb Kefleb. I can't even say.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Meb K.
Yeah.
I did not know he had a partnership with Skechers, but he.
Yeah, you know something about Skechers. The brand. I don't know. I mean, I always kind of associate with like old people. I don't know why.
Old people or kids, because I feel like it's a real like kids brand. When I was little, that was like Payless used to always sell Skechers.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. It was like for little kids and for old adults.
And I talked about the Shape Up last week. You remember I was talking about the Skechers Shape Up, the shoe? Yeah, and for people who want to get skinny without working out. My foot was not in a good position because of the shoes.
Somebody who got injured. I'm going to go this time, Kara Goucher.
Kanisa Bekele.
Oh, Bekele. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I did not say his
marathoner. Yeah.
Yep. After 2017 London Marathon, he blamed the state-of-the-art shoes for hampering his race. This is the one where I do not know who this person is. So when I had no shoes, I was comfortable. I used to run barefoot. When I wore shoes, it was difficult. To run in shoes was okay, but at the beginning of my career, it was hard.
Zola Budd.
Oh, that would have been a good. No, but it's not.
Oh.
Hale or Haley Gebrselassie.
See, I'm glad it's you pronouncing these names, because every time that I'm on one of these episodes and I look and start to pronounce something that I don't know, I'm like, man, this is brutal.
Isn't it horrible?
It is, especially people's names.
I know.
Yeah. And all the marathons we talk about, it's always Ethiopian and Kenyan athletes that I'm just not used to pronouncing their names.
Yeah, I know. It's like there's so many. It's just not. Yeah, the letters aren't in an order that like
it's not Smith. It's not Jones. It's not easy.
Not easy. Let's see. It's got to be the shoes.
It's the shoes. That's hold on. Oh man, it's Spike Lee. He made a commercial. Spike Lee. It's the shoes. Michael, it's the shoes.
Well, this one is Shalane Flanagan, but they said it's from a Nike ad, so maybe everyone was doing that.
Everyone was saying that on that Nike ad. Yep.
Yeah.
What's up?
Exactly. It's just like that. I think perhaps the Alpha Fly were too aggressive for the degenerative joint, and we'll have to rethink shoes and pace to get safely through Boston.
This is going to be Goggins. He had some knee injuries.
Paula Radcliffe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she also had some injuries.
Reflecting on shoe choice and joint impact. If you only have got one shoe, sooner or later you have to fall off the pace.
Sorry, if you only have one shoe? Yeah, that's true. That they always sell them in pairs, I believe.
Yeah.
Did someone lose a shoe during a marathon? Who said that?
Mo Farah. It says commenting about shoes and gear in a race context. He must have lost a shoe.
He must have lost a shoe in one of his races. I mean, he's a shorter distance. Oh no, I saw him in a marathon. Somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in a marathon. I don't know, a year ago. I saw him in one.
Controversial Mo Farah. I want my own shoe. Said in a whiny. I want my own shoe.
I want my own shoe. Who would be whiny?
Or least favorite person ever.
Kara Goucher.
No, what? No, well, yeah, but no. Love Kara Goucher. No, it's Noah Lyles. I want my own shoe.
Oh, yeah. My Pokemon in my shoes.
Public comment expressing his desire for a signature shoe. Shut up.
Yeah, stop it. We're Noah Lyles haters.
I know. All right, the last one is a repeat, so never mind. Okay, so that was that game. And actually, we're like getting so close to the end. Maybe we'll do this other one eventually, because I may need to restructure my notes for this. But I had my other thought was kind of like, what was that dating show?
Dating Game. No.
Is that it?
I don't
know. Like there would be like a person sitting on one side of a curtain. They'd be like, it's person number 1, person number 2, person number 3.
Oh yeah, I think it's a dating game where it's like, yeah, the person's interviewing the 3 people to pick one. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was my vision, but my notes are like a little too scrambled probably for that to be flow easily. And we are at 48 minutes already. And
are we interviewing shoes? Were we interviewing like individual shoe brands? Like
what was going to be shoe brands. So I have like their mission and values. I have their research and development, who they're backed by.
So now, let's wrap this shoe thing up with like, okay, this is gonna be tough, by the way. What's your 3 or 4 recommendations to the general public as it relates to running shoes, right? So give me 3 things that I'm gonna write these down. 3 things that everyone should know about running shoes, or whether they should do when they're trying to go out and get running shoes. Like, what's the process?
Well, I think you kind of covered a lot of it when you talked about, your new favorite website, runrepeat.com.
Runrepeat.com.
He loves it. It's the new 80/20. But no, I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy, right? Like there are so many options, but even going through, right? Like we talked about the revolution in the past 100 years, and it's like people were running, and I know you don't want me to get on my born to run, but it's like you can run in almost anything, right? You see children out there running in their Uggs, running in their snow boots, running in Crocs and sandals and whatever else. And yes, they're not running marathons, but they are moving. So run in what you got. And I feel like we've also talked about this in other episodes too, but run in what you got, or get something that is very like, that's going to make you excited to go run. It does not have to be the fanciest shoe. But I do think once you start training, which you've also covered as well, like getting a shoe that is your running shoe helps not only just with like your, like the fact that you have a running shoe that's like a reliable shoe for running, but also it's going to help you like this is a signal, a cue, like this is part of my warm up. I'm putting on my running shoes. That is part of the routine that I do. So it is going to be helpful to have that. And again, you'll know like this feels comfortable for me. This does not feel comfortable for me. As long as once you get more into running too, you're going to have a better idea. Like if you're a brand new runner, right? Like you're not going to, everything's going to hurt. Everything's going to feel hard. It's going to be, so it doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing at this point. So
yeah, don't blame the shoes when your body hurts the next day.
Right. Until eventually you're like, okay, everything else is going well. And all of a sudden I change a shoe. It is the shoe. So I do think those are like two big things. They're kind of all both together, but, and last, running shoe brands, I feel like do a really good job of this, but like pick a really fun shoe. I feel like that is like another thing of like, you get a new running shoe. Like, what does it look like? Like, I love my runner friends who will say, like, I bought a new shoe. And I'm like, I want to see a picture because they make so many fun different shoes. I do feel like it just kind of makes it a little more fun to run. There are some shoe brands that don't do cool colors, and that is just like a big boo. So yeah, those are like not very interesting or like actually educational or insightful things about running.
No, I think, and I'll summarize mine were the same as yours, right? From a standpoint of number one was, get a running shoe, right? Yeah. So don't wear your Converse, don't wear your basketball shoes. That will result in injuries. But get a pair of running shoes. You don't have to be high-end running shoes. Just get a pair of running shoes, number one. That's all you really need, that and a pair of shorts. You got to at least wear shorts. So, it doesn't matter whether you run outside, you run on a treadmill. Again, just the same shoe can be done for all those things: long runs, short runs, fast runs. All of that same shoe, that same general shoe you buy can be done for all of that. And for 6 months to a year, you'll be fine with that same shoe. Just, do that. And you don't need specialized shoes until at some point in the future, and you'll know when that is, right? So that's one.
Yeah.
Two, get to a running store if you can. That you'll find, you'll talk to some people. They know what they're talking about. Listen to them, understand what they're asking about. Look at your existing shoes. If you're already running, a bit of a runner, but not necessarily, big into shoe brands, take a look at your shoes, see what it's wearing, bring your running shoe into the running store. And if it's like wearing on the inside versus the outside, that will tell the people there, like, okay, what kind of brand, what kind of shoe maybe is beneficial to you? Where do you tend to strike the ground? Is it your heel? Is it your toe? Your existing running shoes will probably tell that story. And then, like you said, fit, comfort, look, it goes a long way, right? It's how does it feel on your foot? And yeah, they all make, most of them make all different colors, and, some boring, some outlandish, and whatever floats your boat is what you can get, and, wear it for running. And they do say, many people say, just wear that shoe for running.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wear it for everyday life because it does wear it out, and your shoes do need a little bit of a break to sort of have the cushioning come back up in the shoes. So that's why, they do. Some people talk about maybe rotating shoes. Not going to get into that today. We're going to just talk about one shoe or two shoes, one pair of shoes. So yeah, I think that's really my recommendation. It's the same as yours. It's there's a lot of brands out there. Go with comfort, number one, get a running shoe and go out there and run.
Exactly. And we will be back in the new year with actual running news. So hopefully within the next 3+ weeks, something interesting happens. We'll need the update on we already did the athlete of the year. We'll need an update on something. There'll be something out there.
Yeah, we're not going to do a year in review. We're going to do like 2026. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no looking back. And then we will eventually do the dating game with running shoe brands, whatever it is, when I figure out that a little better. Yeah, we'll see ya.